Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the KnitWise watch cap. Now, click in the link below to download your free pattern, and while you're down there, take a moment to follow us on the various social media channels. And if you'd like us to see what you're working on, or show us some hats that you've made, use the hashtag Yarnspirations, and please subscribe to the channel at the same time. Now we're going to use just one ball of Peyton's Classic Wool Roving. I'm using yellow in the video, but of course you can use any color that makes you happy. You're going to need a size US 9 5.5 millimeter and US 10 6 millimeter circular knitting needle that is 16 inches or 40.5 centimeters long. You'll also need a set of 4 size US 10 6 millimeter double pointed knitting needles, or the size needed to obtain gauge. You're going to need 4 stitch markers. You're going to need a tapestry needle, and I'm going to say on the double pointed needles I actually used 5. You can absolutely do it with 4, but I felt like 5 was an easier thing, so 4 or 5 will work for you. So let's take a look at the KnitWise watch cap. The first thing I want to talk about is the beginning ribbing. You will, on the smaller needles, cast on 80 stitches, place a marker to mark the beginning of the round, and join to the beginning to work in the round, being careful not to twist, of course. And then the first row says knit 1 through back loop, purl 1, repeat from asterisk around. So the reason we're going to knit 1 through the back loop instead of the front loop like we normally do is twofold. One is it's prettier. You see how the little legs of the knit stitches are crossed? It's just slightly more visually interesting. But the other thing is because it takes up an infinitesimal amount more yarn, it makes that brim pull in tighter side to side, which is what we want on the brim of the hat. We want it to fit closely and not fall off. So let's just briefly take a look at that particular type of ribbing. So once again, we're going to knit through the back loop and then purl like we always do. Knit through back loop, purl like we always do, etc. And you're going to do this until it is 2.5 inches long. I, of course, am not going to go quite that crazy because I'm just making a sample for the camera, not an actual hat. And I will say I've noticed you can't, or at least I can't, just sort of put this down and go on autopilot, because the minute I stopped thinking about it, I started knitting through the front loop like I always do. So pay a little bit of attention to this part. So we have come up to the marker, so now I know I'm ready for the next round. So for the next round it says knit 1, purl 1, repeat from asterisk around, having changed to the larger needles. So a lot of people try and move the stitches from one needle to the other in order to prepare for working with the larger needles. I want to be 100% honest. All I ever do is knit onto the next size from the first size. So again, you will have gone until it's 2.5 inches long or 6 centimeters, but I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next section. So I'm moving from my smaller needles to my larger ones, and now I'm just doing knit 1, purl 1 ribbing like I normally would, and I'm going to keep doing that until the work is 6 inches, and then we're going to shape the crown. So when I get around to the end, I will know where the round ends because I will have completed getting all the stitches off the smaller needle, and I have my marker hanging out to mark the beginning of the round. You, of course, will keep going, as the instructions said, until the work measures 6 inches or 15 centimeters, but I want to go ahead and take a look at the crown shaping. I just wanted to point out nice up close and personal on the camera. You can see how down here is where I had my ribbing through the back loop and how it's tight and firm and nice looking. And you can see as I moved up, this fabric has loosened up, not only because of the change in the stitch, of course, but also because of the change in needle size. So moving on, it says knit 1, purl 1, 10 times, place marker. So we're getting set up to do that crown shaping. So we're going to knit 1, purl 1 10 times. And 10. And then it says place marker. Now, if you have the technology, I like to use a different color marker throughout the piece than I did at the beginning of the round. I like the beginning of the round marker to be a different color. Again, just to remind me where that beginning of the round is, so I don't get my decrease shaping in the wrong place. So I'm going to keep going all the way around. Knit 1, purl 1 10 times and place marker. Okay, I have all my markers in, and I'm getting ready to do that crown shaping. We're on the second round. It says knit 1, knit 2 together, pattern across 14 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now there should be 3 stitches before the marker. 1, 2, 3, and we are going to SSK and knit 1. So that is slip the next 2 stitches from the left hand needle to the right hand needle knitwise, 1 at a time, pass them back onto the left hand needle, then knit through back loops together. So that's slip 1, slip the second one, put them back on the left hand needle, and knit 2 together through the back loop. So that was my SSK, knit 1. So now it says repeat from asterisk around. So we're going back to the beginning. Knit 1, knit 2 together, working pattern for 14, 13, 14, SSK knit 1, slip, slip, knit 2 together through the back loop, knit 1. Alright, so you're going to keep doing that all the way around. You will have 72 stitches at the end of that round. I can tell my round is finished because I am back to the different colored marker. Now for the third round, it says knit all knit stitches and purl all purl stitches as they appear. Now sometimes people get a little confused with this about reading their knitting, but don't try and force knit 1 purl 1 to happen, because now that we have decreases it's not going to. So to realize what you're going to knit, when you see that little loop here that looks like a V at the bottom, you're going to knit that. So in this case I'm going to knit that one. Well, that definitely looks like a knit stitch, so I'm going to knit that one. And now my next one, I see the purl bump. You see the purl bump right there? So I know I'm going to purl that. Now I also know that I mess around with any stitches past the beginning and the end. So I can feel pretty confident that I'm just going to knit 1 purl 1 till I get pretty close to that next marker. to start paying attention. I'm getting near the end of this section. Okay, that looks like a purl because I see a purl bump. That looks like a knit because I see that V. That looks like a knit because I see that V. And that looks like a knit because I see that V. For the fourth round, it's knit 1, knit 2 together, pattern until you have 3 stitches before the next marker, SSK, knit 1. So it's the same thing as the second round that we already did, except we're not counting 14 in the middle. We're going until we have 3 stitches left. Obviously, because we're making decrease rounds, there's going to be fewer stitches on each subsequent decrease round. And then the 5th round says as 3rd round. So you're going to repeat those 2 rounds until 16 stitches remain. At that point, you're going to knit 2 together 8 times, and you'll have 8 stitches. Fasten off, leaving a long end, thread that end onto the tapestry needle through remaining stitches, draw it up tightly, and fasten securely. The only other note that I want to give you is a reminder that as you are decreasing, you're decreasing, you're decreasing and decreasing, and eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have so few stitches on the needle that the fabric is going to be pulling. It's not going to be 16 inches anymore, so it's not going to be comfortable on that 16-inch circular needle. At which point, go ahead and change down to your double-pointed needles. Now, it's super simple to do that because this is divided into 4 sections. Just put 1 section on each of the 4 needles and go from there. If your markers fall off, it's no big deal because you know that you have a section on each one of the DPNs. So thank you so much for joining us here for the Knit Watch Cap on Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Be sure to click below to follow us on the various social media platforms, subscribe to the channel, and use hashtag Yarnspirations on anywhere and everywhere to let us know how you are making out with the Knit Watch Cap. Bye-bye.